This town is a game of ass kissing and nobody does it like me, Dorit, and Lisa. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm Rafael and I'm here to review episode 19 of The Real Ass Kissers of Beverly Hills. So we start the episode off with the women continuing their trip, and this time they're going wine testing, except Erica. Erica's staying back in her hotel room. Sutton, she's on an ATV that resembles a scooter because of her ankle injury, and they're all waiting. Of course, the last one to show up is Dorit. She shows up looking like a dominatrix that nobody wants to pay for. So eventually they go wine testing, and it was just drink after drink after drink after drink. I'm like, damn. And then the camera crew is just putting everything in slow motion, so we don't know how long they've been drinking for. But I did like the little car ride, the little San Francisco go-kart thing that they were on. I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's a cute way to, maneuver a way around through the whole vineyard and everything. They get to the second location, and there's more wine waiting for them. I'm like, oh, I know somebody's just one glass away from saying the wrong thing. But it was cute though. It was cute to finally see them, to have a little bit of fun and just kind of like loosen up and, not be threatened every 5 seconds by Erica. And then Kathy tells the waiter, oh, this wine, are we doing the 5 S's? And then she proceeds to explain these 5 S's that she does with her wine. And I'm like, is it really that complicated to drink some damn wine? I mean, if you're a real nasty bitch, all you need to know is 1 S, and that's swallowing. And then, of course, Lisa, dressed as Inspector Gadget, she opens up the conversation. She's like, isn't it crazy, the whole Erica story that happened last week with her telling me, Dorit, and Kyle, and everybody's like, wait, what story? What's going on? And Lisa's like, oh, you don't know? Oh, everybody take another sip before I tell you the story because this is a good one. So Lisa proceeds to tell them that Tom got broken into by Harley Quinn and the Joker. They were trying to take jewelry and trying to figure out where Batman was, and Tom didn't know. The Joker kept threatening Tom and kept asking him, aren't you the butler that's in Batman's house all the time? Aren't you him? You know where he's at. And Tom was like, no, I'm not Alfred. That's Alfred the butler. I'm Tom and I'm rich. Like, I don't know who you're talking about. So eventually the Joker and Harley Quinn kept fighting him. Tom tried to fight back. Something happened with his eyeball. His eyeballs turned red and then it turned purple. And then lasers came out, but eventually he fought them out the house and he was safe. And then the sun came over and then he flipped his car 100 times. I think 102, but I'm not sure if the last flip counted because it was kind of like a half a flip, but I'm not sure. Regardless, he still flipped. And then here comes Kyle adding in her 2 cents. Yeah, it's because of the snow that he flipped his car. And then everybody was like, the snow, the snow, the snow, the snow. Wait, it was snowing? It was like the new, who said that? Who said that? Who said that? They were all so shocked, and Garcelle was all of us because Garcelle was like, the snow? Wait, what? Like, everybody was so confused. Even Crystal in her confessional was like, wait. Last time I checked, we all lived in Los Angeles, so where does it snow in LA? I mean, it hasn't snowed here since I was 11, so I'm confused. I mean, Crystal, we're all confused. And by this point, it's episode 19, and Dorit is still talking in her confessional and just not saying anything in person. She's just like, it's just, the story is just so far-fetched, and it's just so crazy, and I don't know. It seems very unbelievable. Like, it just seems like it came straight out of a movie, Like, it just seems so intense. And I'm like, Dorit, I'm sick of it. I'm over it. Like, you and Kyler are gonna continue saying shit in the confessionals and not saying anything in person or to Erica's face. So at this point, we haven't gotten it. At this point, we're never gonna get it. Garcelle is also questioning, like, okay, so what? Like, what is this? I mean, it sounds very unbelievable, and trust me, Garcelle, it is unbelievable because it probably is unbelievable and not true. Sutton also interjects, and she's like, wait, so how did Erica find out? And Garcelle and everybody was just like, no, Sutton, let's stop the questioning. And Sutton is like, no, I just want to know, I'm done being fancy Drew, but I'm just curious. And they're just like, well, I mean, her son kind of told her, I guess. And then Kyle also tells him that Tom's family wants to put him in a home. And then Crystal gets all emotional. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, Crystal. So you get emotional and feel sympathy over Erica's husband, Tom. But last week or the other week with Garcelle and the whole situation, how everybody kept attacking her because she felt some type of way that she feels excluded from the group and she feels different. You had nothing to say. You didn't shed a tear with that. You couldn't relate to that situation. But you could relate to this. I mean, it's understandable, but interesting. Eventually, Kathy tells the group that she has fulfilled her 3 scenes that she has in her contract to film with them today. So she's like, okay, I'm going back into my room because I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and my neck hurts. I have like a neck injury or a head injury from when I was little when I did this Barbie commercial. And I'm like, what Barbie commercial was Kathy in? Was this the all-exclusive Barbie that we never got to see? The one that can't do anything and that needs help 24/7 Barbie? Is that a Kathy Hilton special Barbie? I'm curious to know what that commercial looks like. So eventually she leaves to go take a nap, and I don't blame her, especially after all the wine. Kathy's like, look, I'm gonna have my fun and I'm gonna leave when I want. She never leaves with the group. So eventually they're all still sitting down, and then Kyle and Sutton, they start making fun of, poking fun of Erica and how she talks, and they're like, oh, Kyle is like, the door is closed. The door is closed. I'm not opening any doors. And then Sutton makes fun of her. And I'm like, oh, Kyle. I'm like, oh, you will make fun of Erica when she's not there. But if Erica was there, I promise you, she probably wouldn't be making fun of the things that she says. She's probably like, I hope that this scene doesn't get used in the final cut, because then Erica's going to get mad at me. Later that night, we head over to Kyle's room, and she's heading in to check on Kathy. And she's like, Kathy, are you there? Kathy, are you there? And Kathy is sleeping. She has her fan on. I mean, that's the one relatable thing that I can understand with Kathy, is sometimes I do need a fan for no reason. I mean, it could be so cold, and sometimes I still want a fan, maybe just the breeze, the noise. I don't know what it is about that, but I could understand why she needs that. And then we come with Dorit. She shows up with Sutton, and Sutton has her scooter, and then Dorit's like, Sutton, you're messing up my grand entrance. Like, come on. You're messing up my entire entrance. And I'm like, Dorit, you're messing up your whole entire entrance yourself. just by making an entrance. I mean, at this point, don't even make an entrance. Make an exit. I think, that would be a much more beautiful thing for you to do. That you will probably pull that off much better than an entrance. And then Sutton, Doormat, and Kyle sit down and they start talking about Erica once again. And they're like, yeah, they're filling Sutton in with the whole, oh yeah, Sutton, when you were in there, Erica was telling us the story and how she alleged that, Tom was knocked out for like 500 hours. And, it's one thing from us, the audience, looking at this and laughing at it because it sounds unbelievable. But it's another thing where they're finding out in real time, like, wait, what? Alleged? Because Sutton was like, how do you find somebody knocked out? It just sounds so stupid. It sounds like a hot mess. Like even the way I repeat myself, I'm like, what? Erica, like I said last week, I'm going to sue you for this emotional damage you're doing to me. You're making me feel stupid. Sutton is like, yeah, I don't know, but I feel like, this group is drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm pretty sure that they are, and not the good kind, and not the one with, extra sugar. And then Dorit, back in her confessional, she says, oh, I just feel like this whole story is it's very crazy and unbelievable in a way. But, if you don't question certain things, then you're left there sitting like an idiot. And I'm like, yes, Dorit, that's exactly what we all think of you, Lisa, and Kyle this season. Because you're literally just sitting there in front of Erica, letting her just make a clown out of you. Just like, you sucking in all these lies from her, and you're just like, okay with it. Like, okay, I believe you. No, I get it. But then in the confessional, you say something else. So it's just like, if you was to say what you had to say in the confessional to Erica's face this entire season, maybe we'll have a little tad bit, respect for you. Just a little bit. And then back downstairs, Garcelle, Crystal, and Lisa are waiting for the rest of the group. And in the meantime, Lisa is showing off her garbage bag around her shoulders. And she's like, yes, I love this jacket. It's Norma Cavalli. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's Glade's garbage bags. That's what it is. It's not designer. And then speaking of, Erica shows up. Erica shows up looking like a red condom because she has on these really, really tight latex pants. But they were kind of cute. And she's like, oh, yeah, latex. Oh, latex. So cute. And, everybody's just crazy about it. Eventually, the group reunites. They're all heading out. Sutton is kind of like on the lower platform because of her ETV. And then Erica makes a slick-ass comment. And she's like, oh, yeah, she's down there because she has to be on the low level. Sutton is lower than me, so she needs to be down there in the low level. And I'm like, whoo, if I was Sutton, I would have been waiting for her to get down the stairs like, okay, I'm just going to wait for her down here. No, okay. I think I'm going to put this thing on turbo mode and just run her ass over with it. And then to be real shady with it, just oops, I rewind. I don't know how to use this thing. Oh, I went forward. I am so sorry. Did I rip your ugly leather pants? Just keep backing up, back and forth on Erica. How is that for lower level? So then eventually the group sits down and they all start talking and there's a little bit of tension in the air, but eventually Lisa breaks the ice and Lisa's like, "So, Erica, have you watched any, horror documentaries or anything?" Erica tells the group that she's been watching this new documentary, something called The Hustler and the Housewife, and she could really relate a lot to it, so she wasn't doing that. And then Dorit's like, "I know that your son has been really shaken by everything, especially after finding out about Tom. How is he?" And Erica just so nonchalantly, she was just like, yes, that he rolled his car 5 times. Yes, he's so scared about it. Like, so scared. Like, she said it like it was nothing. I'm like, okay, I guess rolling your car 5 times is just a thing in California. And then Erica also tells the group, "Yes, I feel like Tom has done a lot of good things to people, so people should step up in this time of need." And everybody's like, okay. And Dorit said it perfectly in her confessional. I mean, technically, if he has done all these good things, I mean, if it's true what's been out in the blogs, then he has done a lot of bad things too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, can you buy me that Louis Vuitton bag? Yeah. But yeah, if he's done a lot of good things, but if these things are true, then he's a bad person. You know what I'm saying? And then Sutton makes a good point by comparing this situation with the situation with Denise. And she's just like, it's so interesting how they're not asking her any questions. But with Denise, they were grilling her questions, question after question after question. I mean, they were like just throwing things at her. At that point, and I'm just like, they need to bring Denise back for next season. I mean, it's the perfect opportunity, and I feel like they've been kind of hinting at that this season. I mean, she has been, a name dropped a couple of times throughout a couple of episodes. So they need to bring Denise back next season. I think it will be such a good thing to do that. And then get rid of Dorit. Like, get rid of Dorit. Give her diamond back to Denise. The conversation continues to take a strange turn when Erica reveals to the group that her son has been asking her, is she sleeping with the neighbor? And I'm like, what kind of question is this? First of all, what kind of relationship is this? And Garcelle said it perfectly. Yeah, my son would not be asking me these type of questions. That's very odd and very strange. And Kyle continues to ask Erica, "So, what does he think about you and your Instagram post?" And Erica's just like, "Oh, he doesn't think anything of it. I mean, he knows that mommy needs to pay the bills by showing her boobs and her ass on Instagram. So it's fine." And, Garcelle called it perfectly because there was so much ass kissing in this scene specifically. I mean, Lisa, Dorit, and Kyle were just laughing tremendously. I mean, Kyle was just like, "Oh, Erica, you are so funny. You are keeping me so entertained." Dorit on the other side, "Oh, yes, continue with your story. It is so funny. Continue. I'm not going to bother questioning you with anything, Erica. Just continue telling us our story." And Sutton is just sitting there like, Kyle takes a dig at Sutton, who's just sitting there quietly, and she's just like, "Oh, what happened, Sutton? Cat has your tongue? Why are you just sitting there so quietly? Why are you just sitting there? You're not saying anything." And Sutton just stays there quietly. She doesn't say anything. I'm like, wow, Kyle, we're feeling so bold tonight. I mean, she probably still has some wine in her system, or she has her producer hat again. Like, okay, let me produce another scene. Let's start, Erica versus Sutton round 500, because that's exactly what would have happened if Sutton would have opened her mouth. Erica, being right there in front of her, would have threatened her again for the 100th time. And if I was Sutton, I would have just replied to Kyle, "Oh, no, I'm just sitting here. By the way, I fucked Mauricio." Like, that's exactly what I would have said, and then shut Kyle completely down. Like, let's see how you like it. I'm confused with Kyle because one second she tells Sutton, "Oh, be quiet, just sit there and sip your drink." And then the next second, every other episode, you're like, "Oh, be honest, be honest, be honest. You need to own it. You need to be 100% to Erica's face." So I'm confused at what exactly you want Sutton to do. Do you want her to just sit back and be quiet and not say anything to not cause any drama? Or do you want her to be honest to Erica's face? Because you want her to do both, but it's not possible. And then Erica continues with her soapbox by saying, "Yes, even though I'm feeling very devastated right now with everything going on in my life, I am trying to look at the good in life. Ginger once told me that the grass is not always greener on the other side, and I'm trying to look at life for what it is. I'm trying to go over the rainbow and get my lucky charms, and maybe I'll see that leprechaun and he'll have his bag of gold, and maybe he'll give me some because that's what I need right now, So I'm trying to be a good person now." And then Kyle jumps in, and Kyle the amount of ass kissing. She was just like, Erica, I just think that you're so talented, you're beautiful, you're young, you're expensive. I mean, that song that you had, Expensive to Be Me, I think it went number 2 on the Billboard chart. I believe so, right? Right, Dory? It went number 2. I think if you make another song or another album, I feel like this is gonna be your number 1 song. I feel like that will be number 1 on the Billboard chart. So I feel like you'll be so successful. You're a really good actress. I think The Wicked just called you earlier because they want you to play Alphaba, the witch on The Wicked, or I feel like you will be a nice, little extra in the background. I really do think that you are so successful and beautiful, and would you marry me? That's what I was waiting for at this point. I'm like, damn, Kyle, like, no shame whatsoever. I mean, she tattooed her lips on Erica's ass. Erica also compares seeing the good in her life with the way Sutton felt when she paid off the rent to her store, and Sutton is sitting there stuck like, wait, is she talking about me? Is she talking to me? Thank you, I guess. I mean, is she coming from my store? But Erica is doing one of 2 things here. Either A, she needs to borrow $20 from Sutton so she could buy a McChicken and a large french fry, or 2, she's just trying to befriend Sutton again, so that way Sutton could keep quiet, she could be pacified. She doesn't have to continue exposing Erica in front of the cameras, from all the lies she continues feeding everybody, but Sutton is the only one who's not buying into it. The next morning, everybody's up, they're all getting ready for the day, everybody has their own glam squad. Erica, we see her with her glam squad, and I'm like, where did you get that from, Erica? Who are these 2 people? Why are they doing your hair and makeup? I thought you had no money. Interesting. But regardless, she's getting her hair and makeup done. And then we see Garcelle and Sutton, and they're upstairs in a balcony. They're talking on the phone because Lisa calls over. And then Erica back downstairs because apparently I think Erica was underneath them. She's in one room right here, and Garcelle and Sutton are like somewhere up here, but close enough in earshot because one of the makeup person is like, I think that's Garcelle. So Erica sneaks out to the balcony and she's like listening. And she hears that Lisa is on the phone with Sutton and Garcelle, and they're talking about Erica, but not saying anything too bad. I mean, Sutton is just like, yeah, it's just crazy that I've never really seen Erica so happy and so excited. I mean, she was talking to me. That was crazy. And Erica looks up at the balcony and she's like, I better not hear any shit talking coming from up there because I can hear everything perfectly. So I better not hear any shit talking coming my way. If I was Garcelle, I would have been like, we're not shit talking about you. We're not even talking bad about you. We're just saying that you might be going to prison and that all your lies don't make sense and that you and Tom are bad people. So anyway, Lisa, yeah, she's going to prison, right? I wouldn't have been scared of Erica. Like, what are you going to do? If anything, I would have grabbed some juice and just poured it down there while your head was sticking out the balcony. And then we get Crystal and Lisa, and they're swimming in a pool full of Lisa's lies, and they have to balance themselves on these square things in the middle of the pool while the instructor is right there in front of them, teaching them how to, control themselves on these square things so they don't fall into the pool. And then on the other side, we have Erica and Kyle. They're playing tennis, and after they're done playing tennis, they get some champagne in a glass, and Erica, there she goes again. She continues on with saying, you know what, Kyle? My lawyer said that I was so courageous. I was so courageous. I mean, I am so brave for being the woman that I am. I think he also called me Superwoman at some point too, because he just thinks that I'm such a role model to everybody. And I don't know, I feel like if I write a memoir, I feel like I'm gonna name this chapter Courageous, because I'm courageous. I'm a courageous woman. And Kyle is just sitting there like, but I'm like, come on, Kyle, you almost had it. You almost had it. Come on, just push a little bit more. Say, but you're not courageous. I know that that's what Kyle wanted to say, but of course, in her confessional, her and Doree's favorite spot, she's like, courageous. If anything, the victim should be getting something out of this, because Erica also explains to Kyle that supposedly they're looking to take the house, they're taking this, they're taking that, they're taking her panties and her bra that Rihanna gave her, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, Kyle just say something, but of course Kyle just stayed quiet and just continued drinking her champagne. Then back at the pool, we see Garcelle and Sutton on the side of the pool watching Lisa and Crystal fall over into the pool. They fell so gracefully in slow motion, like, ah! And then we find out that it's Crystal's birthday soon, and Garcelle asks her an interesting question. She's like, so, Crystal, have you ever been with a woman? And Crystal's just like, stop happened? I'm shy. Stop. But Garcelle confirms it for us in her confessional. And she's just like, yeah, the answer is a yes. I mean, I'll take it because that's the most interesting thing that we got out of Crystal in the last couple of episodes. So it's okay. And as we see all the women heading over to the Pirates of the Caribbean boat, we see Erica and Sutton will stay behind the group and they're walking next to each other. I'm like, what's this about? And then we see Erica just talking to Sutton and she's just like, yeah, hey Sutton. So, I had to lash out a little bit because I was just angry and upset. It's a lot going on in my life and I was just wondering, can you pay my rent or my mortgage for my house next month? Yeah. I mean, no, I'll help you out and everything. Maybe I'll come to your store and I'll clean it up a little bit, maybe fold a couple, jeans or something, or maybe I can, do some errands for you. But I was just wondering if you can do me that favor. I really didn't want to say this in front of the rest of the group, but that's why I was lashing out on you, because I know that you have the most money here. Well, maybe Kathy does, but I was gonna ask her for money or a loan, but I knew she wasn't gonna give it to me. Maybe I can work at her hotel, but I feel like she still wouldn't let me do that either. So I'm just asking you. And Sutton is just like, I don't know if I should accept this kind of like this apology thing or this talking conversation that I'm having with her, but I guess I'll take it, but I still don't trust her. And I'm like, yes, and if I was you, I would not trust her. I mean, if I was you, I would check the brakes on your little ETV, because as she was standing next to you talking, she probably had a screwdriver in her hand, just unscrewing the brakes like, yes, and let's continue talking. Oh, wait, let me unscrew that too while she's not looking. I just would not trust it. And then she made that slick joke that saying, oh, yes, and I'm going to push you into the water. And no, she'll do it. Erica's excuse to talking to Sutton is not because she wants to be friends with her. It's just because she didn't want to ruin the trip for the rest of the women. I'm like, so what does it matter? This is the last night here. What is it going to matter? You're just going to go back home and you're going to go your separate ways the next day. So I don't understand what you were doing. I mean, it comes out very fake, Erica. I mean, I don't understand. 1 second you're threatening her and you're like, oh, why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? And then the next second you're like, oh, let's be best friends. Let's talk. Let's have a nice romantic walk down this little boardwalk to the boat. Like, what are we doing here? Like, no. As they're settling on the boat and taking their seat, the sun is shining bright on them, and one of them is like, oh, can the captain just turn the boat around because I need the right natural lighting for my selfie. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even mad at you for that. Because I would do the same thing. I'm like, wait, turn this whole damn boat around. I need the right angle too. And then they ask Erica, so what's going on with you and Sutton? What's that about? Like, what's this conversation? And Erica, being fake, was like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm just open for certain things. The conversation's open, the door is kind of open, so everything's not gonna get fixed overnight, but it's there. There's a rope right between me and Sutton, and maybe we'll connect, maybe we won't, but who knows? And I'm like, that's not what you were saying in the confessional just a second ago. And then Crystal jumps into the conversation and she tells Sutton, Sutton, even though me and you had our issues at the beginning of the season, I'm starting to really enjoy being around you. I'm starting to like you as a person. You seem like a fun person. And for me personally, I have not forgotten how Sutton has behaved at the beginning of the season, those first couple of episodes. I mean, she was a full-on Karen, especially telling Crystal to her face, oh, I don't see color. All of that was just very, very terrible behavior. And yes, she may have been the only one to really call out Erica for her lies and really take it there with her, but I'll always side-eye her for her behavior at the beginning of the season. Garcelle took a page out of Kyle's book and she's like, oh, I want to play a game of Never Have I Ever. And her first question was, never have I ever stolen something. And I'm like, oh, Garcelle, why would you ask this? This is something I would expect out of Kyle. And everybody got quiet. Erica is pissed. She's like, should I say it? Should I not? Should I hold back? Should I say anything? And I'm just like, why would we ask this question? I mean, we're all getting along finally, and you're trying to be messy and throw in a messy ass question. But luckily, nobody says anything. Erica's just like, no. Next question was, never have I ever had anal sex. And I know Captain Troy was just ready to jump off the boat. He's probably like, where's my life jacket? I'm leaving. And then we find out that Miss Southern Belle, Sutton, she has participated in those type of games. I'm like, what, Sutton? Excuse me? Not Miss I'm Classy and Miss Holier Than Thou. What? Let me find out you've been getting it in the pooper scooper. What? Then it's Kathy's turn, and Kathy's like, oh, never have I ever had sex in a doctor's office. And then she proceeds to take a drink, and I'm like, what? Not Kathy. Imagine the doctor that walked in right after they were done, like, I could have swore she came for a sprained ankle. What is this liquid thing on my, is this? Ew, nurse, I need cleanup. Garcelle also asked another interesting question, and she's like, never have I ever used a strap on, and everybody is just sitting there quietly, and I'm also waiting for somebody to say yes. I'm like, okay, who is it? I could kind of maybe see Crystal and her husband, maybe, but I don't know. And then we see Erica, and Erica's like, well, I would do it. I never done it before, but I would do it. I mean, yeah, why not? I would strap on. But one thing about me is you cannot know me. You do not even know me. You do not even know my name. After we are done, I am just using you. I just need you to shut up. I just need you to shut up. That's it. That's all. I don't need you to touch me. I don't even need you to know who I am as a person. Once I'm done with you, we're done. And I'm like, damn, what's with all the rage? Everybody was just all scared, like, okay, we were just having fun, but all right, you want to be angry, all right. And then Sutton is like, well, I mean, let me direct the conversation somewhere else, because if I was Erica and I lost all my money, I would be upset too. And I'm like, damn. Then back on the main part of the boat where they were sitting, Kathy and Sutton are sitting there talking, and Sutton starts getting a little emotional and choked up, talking about Erica and their friendship and how everything fell apart. But at the same time, Sutton, I could see why you would feel hurt, but you didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, yes, you were friends with Erica, but just because you're friends with somebody doesn't mean you have to be extremely loyal to the point where if they're committing crimes, possibly and allegedly, that you have to support it. You know, like Lisa does, for example. Like, if your friend is doing wrong, a good friend will want you to be like, oh, you know what, Erica, I don't agree with your actions. I feel like maybe this is wrong, or you shouldn't be doing that. You know, a good friend would do that. A bad friend would be like, you know what, Erica, I know what you're doing, and I'm just gonna turn the blind eye and look away and just pretend like everything is good. So Anne really didn't do anything wrong to Erica. She was just trying to look out for them and just be like, look, I want to know questions, and if I'm gonna go down in flames with you, I'd rather not, because that's not what a good friendship is. You know, that would be more of a toxic friendship. And knowing Erica, you would think that she would try to look out for the rest of the women if there really are friends. Because Erica, if I was in Erica's position, I would be like, you know what? I may be doing all of this behind the cameras and everything, but I don't want my close friends to go down in flames with me, so I'm gonna separate myself from them and tell them the truth, even if it's off of camera, and be like, you know what? I did do this, this, and this, and I don't want you going down with me, and as a good friend, I'm just gonna acknowledge that I did wrong, and I want you to separate yourself from me. Not because I hate you or anything, but just because I don't want you being a part of this chaos that's about to come with everything gets exposed, you know? So I could understand what Sutton is feeling and how hurt she is, but I guess you just gotta take it one step at a time and just wait for the truth to come out, I suppose. And then we hear Lisa at the end of the ship on the pole screaming, I'm the hypocrite of the world! And that was the episode, y'all. What did y'all think about this episode as a whole? It's crazy that next week is already the season finale. I'm like, damn, it feels like just yesterday the season started and now it's coming to an end. But then we have a 4-part reunion, so it's not really coming to an end. But again, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.